people? What's up? I hope you're doing good. Last time we talked about vlogging, or not actually vlogging, but in general, I would say I talked about recording yourself more, whether it's in the written form, whether it's in the audio form or the video form, whatever suits you or whatever you're comfortable with. But it is good for you to, once in a while at least, record your thoughts, because trust me, you're going to regret a lot of things when you die. And you should always try to minimize that baggage of regret that you're probably unavoidably going to face or have when you're dead. So one of the ways to do that is by speaking to people more. I also talked about books, how people used to write books in the past and record their ideas for the future generations or the fellow human beings that were around them. And I talked about philosophers like Nietzsche or Plato, Aristotle, Kant, Descartes, and others. Whoever it is, they found a need for recording themselves, for recording their ideas, because they felt that there was something meaningful in that, in their experiences, whatever they had seen, their perspectives, their opinions about life. And then people could agree or disagree with them. People could, say that what you have said is something that resonates with me. Or they could say that, no, I'm not feeling the vibe. It was up to people what they would do with that information. But putting that information out there in the first place is something that's important, right? That's how the discourse grows. That's how thoughts are talked about and ideas are talked about and agreements and disagreements are found. And there's that concept of thesis, antithesis, and synthesis, right? Once you put your idea out there, it is challenged, and maybe you have to then modify or alter your position, your standing, your opinions. And then you have to come to a new conclusion after analyzing properly the challenges that were posed to your original thought or idea, right? So, it's a healthy thing for a civilized nation, for civilized people in general. This is how civilizations grow, help each other, and in all sorts of ways. The special thing about human species is that we have the capability to talk. We have language. We can think. It's not just like human beings are the only ones who can think. Of course, we can apply this to animals also in some ways. But then we are getting into the discourse of what thinking actually is. So that's a different matter. Even a dog knows that if a human being a man is picking up a rock or a small stone, pebble from the ground, while he's doing that, the dog starts to run away, right? Because he knows from his past experiences that once a man picks up a rock from the floor, from the ground, from the street, the next step is that it is going to hit me, right? So from the past experiences, he can deduce that this is what's the next step, and I need to save my body from getting hit by the rock, right? So that's also thinking. So I'm not trying to say that humans are the only ones who can think. That's not what I meant. But one thing that we have the capability of doing is to increase the scope or this area of thought. Why? Because one thing is that we can talk about abstract things. That's one thing. The other is that we can share our ideas. Two minds are always better than one, right? In whatever way you want to look at it. If it's about thinking, if it's about generation of ideas or creativity, productivity, whatever it is, two minds are always better than one. Now, please don't attack me on this. I know there can be times when that's why we have that proverb which says too many chefs spoil the broth. I know that's also true. But what I mean is that two minds can always produce more results or better results, or, okay, let me drop the word always. Most of the times, they can produce more results, better results than one mind, right? So multiple minds can produce, obviously, better results than just one mind working at an idea. So, yeah, I was talking about how humans are have this capability of thinking, and then sharing this with other people, other entities of our species, which other animals cannot do, which other species cannot do. A dog cannot share his thoughts and ideas with another dog, or a cat cannot do it with another cat. A bird cannot do it with another bird. Whatever is in their mind stays in their mind. Now, I know, again, you can attack me on this, or you can counter that they too have some tools of communication. But you know what I mean. What I mean is that it's not as sophisticated as our tools are, because we have a tongue, and we have vocal cords, and we have symbols, and we have signs and symbols. We have language, which helps us to communicate our thoughts with other people, right? So that's basically what my whole point was, that we have this ability to share our knowledge, and we can share it from generation to generation as well. It's not just like I can share it with my friend, and I can help him, he can help me, or we are 4 or 5 friends, so we can help each other. So it's 4 or 5 minds helping each other out and growing together. That can also happen, but what I actually meant to say was that it can also happen from generation to generation. It can very well happen in the horizontal plane, and it can happen in the vertical plane as well. Vertical plane is what we call the timeline, or the time, what is that called? on the graph we have x-axis and y-axis. Let me not go into that. I mean, we can apply it through time as well, through generations as well. We can grow in our knowledge, we can become more civilized, and we can help our future generations, just like our past generations have helped us with their research, with their experiences, with their mythologies, with their stories, with their folktales, with their proverbs, with their actions, with their all that canon of knowledge that they have produced, which helped us to lead a better life. We can do that for the future generations, right? And we can make their world a better place. So all of that happens when we share ideas, and sharing of ideas is what I'm trying to emphasize upon, and that's what the important thing is. You have to share your ideas. Whatever you feel like is worth sharing, whatever you feel like is meaningful, just go for it. Just share it. That's the whole point of my first vlog as well as this vlog. I'm talking about the same thing, and that's sharing of thoughts and how important it is, and what are the benefits, and what are the things that we gain, and what are the things that we lose if we don't do it. So I hope I was able to make some sense of that. What else? Okay, let's talk about the news that we saw this week, some days ago. It was a heartbreaking news of an acid attack on a woman. Of course, it's always women who have to face almost all sorts of hardships in our society, and acid attacks are one of the kind of the atrocities that they face. And this time the victim was from Kashmir, and this was absolutely not the first time that there has been an acid attack on a woman in Kashmir. There have been a couple of more incidences before. One I remember from my childhood. One case was when I was in school. There was this girl in Srinagar. She was brutally hit by a car. That type of an accident I have heard. I mean, it was obviously not an accident. I mean, an attempt to murder, we can say. I don't know if she survived or not. And similar other attacks have been carried on women from a long time elsewhere, and now we are seeing something similar in places like Kashmir, where such things were not a common occurrence. And I would not just talk about the incident only, because that's something that everyone talks about. Let's talk about something deeper, and let's try to get to the roots of it. That's what we should always try to do from every incident. Let's try to get to the roots of the cause. Now, let's try to decipher why such things are happening, and if they are happening, what made the perpetrator do that sort of a stuff with this victim, who belongs to some place in Srinagar, and her face was burnt by the acid, and her eyes are at a risk of, her eyesight is at a risk of, she might not be able to see again. And how horrible is that? How horrible is that to happen to any human being? Okay, so I was talking about some deep structures that lie within such incidents that we come to see. Sometimes we are not able to see, we are not empathetic enough to put ourselves in the place of the victim. This happens mostly in rape cases as well, where we hear some really insensitive stuff, insensitive things that are said by males mostly, whether they are these politicians or some other ignorant people, fools, how insensitive they are in their words or choice of words when they talk about such incidents, and they say things like, because she was wearing this sort of stuff, because she was wearing these clothes and this and that, that's why this happened to her. These are the things that we commonly hear in India, Pakistan, in the subcontinent, in these pathetic third world countries, and I'm absolutely not ashamed of calling all of these our countries where we live as third-rate countries. I know some people have a problem with, why are you calling these countries or places as third world countries? You're not even third. You're like, there's no number on the darkness of your mentality and your attitudes or your approaches to life, your civilization. It's not even civilization, it's just brutish living, as that political philosopher called it. The uncivilized life, or the life before the social contract, was brutish and short. That's what your lives are. That's what our lives are. I mean, I'm a person belonging to the same society. So what I was talking about, I was talking about how people react or respond to rape victims and rape incidents. And similarly, I could see some people talking about or not have so much empathy as was required of them on this incident that happened recently, of that acid attack. We don't empathize with the other person, maybe because that person was not of our gender, and we are not able to see the humanity, the human perspective of that person, because probably we are thinking that person is not as human as I am. I mean, that's the brutal truth, and I want to slap it on your faces. That's the brutal truth. I mean, that's how the whites look at blacks as well. I mean, I'm not generalizing, but in the past, or that's how one person sees the other person and calls the other person as the other, right? The other. Othering of people. When we say one race or one identity, gender identity, or one racial identity, or whatever it is, any identity is superior than the other identity. And then we start to dehumanize the other identity, whether it is gender, whether it is race, whether it is religion. Yes, of course. You will see people around you of your religion saying things like, we are some sort of divine people of who are close to God, and this is true of all religions, most probably, like Jews, Christians, Muslims, and all of us are sailing in the same boat. That's how we look at other people. That's how Jewish people address themselves as people of God, or Christians say like sons of God or children of God, right? And those who are not Christian, they are not as close to God as we are. And same is true for Muslims. We very well know in our society how we look at other people of other religions, or people who do not belong, who do not buy or subscribe to our ideologies or beliefs. We consider them to be of an inferior stature to us, and we consider ourselves to be superior to them. And that's how Hitler was. That's how all evil people in the world have been. And that's how, that's the whole background to the Holocaust that happened with the Jews, and what all other things that happened in the history. The root cause you can find in this particular thing, that we consider the other person to be of some, we dehumanize them and we consider them inferior to us. And that's why we are not able to understand their pain. You will usually find Muslims saying things like that they are not understanding our pain, right? We say things like Americans, or the West, or the people in America, Canada, UK, or elsewhere, they are not understanding the pains of Palestinians. They are not understanding the pains of whoever it is, wherever it is, Muslims in general. That's what you will hear people around you saying, right? But have you ever tried to apply this theory anywhere else? Maybe we are the same as them, because for them we are probably the other, the inferior, or the less human, dehumanizing. That's what dehumanizing means, considering the other people as less of a human being as yourself. And why I said all of this about dehumanizing is because think about the things that were going on in that acid attacker's mind, and you will come to this very realization कि उसके लिए ये इंसान जो था, ये बहन हमारी, बेटी हमारी जो थी, ये उसके लिए एक इंसान नहीं था. It was no big deal for that person कि वो इसकी पूरी जिंदगी खराब करता, इसका चेहरा खराब किया, इसकी आंखों की रोशनी, बीनाई छीनी. And who would do such a thing? Who would do such a thing? A person who does not consider the सामने वाले को जो इंसान न समझे, right? That's what my whole point is. If you're considering the other person, the person who is in front of you, less of a human being, and I would even go so far as to say that not considering the other person a human being at all, that's when such things happen. That's what gives courage to such people to conduct such incidents, shameful acts, cowardly acts. And it's really, really saddening and heartbreaking what happened. But we need to understand the deeper details of such incidents as well. We need to understand the deeper evils that are in our society. We need to understand the root causes, why things are happening in a particular way, and we need to work on those. And then only we can have a better society. Then only we can work on, हम ये कहते हैं, we say things like these rapists or acid attackers and this and that, they should be punished with severity, that they should be given the most severe punishment that is possible. Fine, I agree to that. They should be punished in the most brutal fashion possible. But is that the solution? Is that the solution to the problem? If you think that's the solution to the problem, you are gravely mistaken. If you think that criminals को punish करके, डरा के आप crime को रोक सकते हैं, तो we have been punishing criminals from eternity, from history. जब से history लिखी गई है, तब से हमने punishments के बारे में, crimes के punishments के बारे में सुना है. लेकिन क्या crimes कभी भी खत्म हुए हमारी history में? No. And will they ever end? No. But what can make them a lesser occurrence in the society? It is education. Educating the people, educating the boys, especially in these matters of rapes and acid attacks. Because if you think on a deeper level, रेप में और एसिड अटैक्स में ऐसा क्या होता है कि एक इंसान दूसरे इंसान की डिग्निटी उससे छीनता है, या मर्डर में भी हम यही बात बोल सकते हैं कि कैसे किसी इंसान के ख्याल में ये चीज़ आती है कि मैं सामने वाले की ज़िंदगी उससे छीन लूँ. उस ज़िंदगी की कदर हमारे अंदर नहीं है. We don't value the human in the other person, the humane in the other person, and because of that we are ready to whether we murder them or rape them or throw acid on them. That's the basic problem. That's the root problem. And that's what our boys need to understand. And please don't give me the bullshit that why I'm talking about boys only, because these are the fucking crimes that are committed by boys only. Rape, acid attacks, mostly these things happen on one gender only, committed by the other gender only. It's not something that you need to go to a university to understand these things. No, these are commonsensical things. And we need to understand why these things are happening. And we need to look into the root cause. And that's why I said boys. That's why boys need to understand right from the very beginning that a woman, a girl, a lady is a human being. As much a human being as you are. She is having as much right to liberty, integrity, dignity, life itself as you are. And once our boys and girls, once our children, small children, understand these things, they would not even dare to do something like that to the other person. Whether it's murdering someone, or raping someone, or attacking someone with acid. These things will not happen. That's what I think. If you disagree, please give your reasons for disagreeing with it. If you agree, share these thoughts with people around you. Because as I said in the beginning, sharing things, sharing thoughts, sharing ideas is what makes our life better. Or at least of those that are going to come after us. And that's what makes our lives better. That's what makes this world better. So keep recording, keep sharing, and I'll see you in the next one. This is Imran Shah signing off. Take care.